All right, let's take a look at the Wednesday activity for computer science. I sent you a link to a little bit of code if you want to use it on the Google Classroom groups and through your email. And it's just for this code right here. It's just the rocket code, and it really doesn't have much of anything. If you run it, it's got a background color and it's got a rocket, which I built over here in the sprite editor, and you could edit that, or you don't have to use it. You could make your own. Right? This is one of those times when I really didn't give you that much code, but if you really want to use my rocket, you are welcome to do so. So what we're going to look at today is setting up a condition where the program is reading mouse clicks and using a variable to track how many times the mouse has been clicked, and then making something happen when the number of mouse clicks reaches a certain level. So there's some conditionals involved in this, there's some variables involved in this, and it's just a little combination that we haven't done in class before. You have maybe done it, but we haven't really done it in class. So let's check this out. So far in our code, we've got the variable, the sprite is defined. It's rocket. It's sitting at 200, 300, so it's down at the bottom of the screen. It's all set up to look like the rocket. Cool. Now, the next thing we're going to have to do here is we're going to include a variable, and this is just going to be a variable that will be used to just keep track of a value. So here's how you do that. We haven't done a lot of this, and this is going to come up a whole bunch when we start keeping track of scores and things like that when we're doing game programming. So I'm going to go to the variables drawer, and I'm going to bring over this var x equals, and I'll drop it up here. Now look, it's going above the draw loop. It's not going inside the draw loop. And the name of the variable could be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to use the word count because that's what I'm going to do with this variable. I'm going to count mouse clicks. So I'm going to call it count, but it could be the letter C, or it could be taps or bumps, or whatever. You can call it whatever. And I'm going to set it to 0 to begin with because that's how I want the program to begin. I want to say, okay, we've had no mouse clicks yet. So at the beginning, the count of mouse clicks is 0. Cool. All right. So now the next thing that we'll do is I'm going to go to there's going to be I'm going to set up 2 if blocks, and there's maybe other ways to do it. If you know other ways, if you think of other ways, my goodness, the result is what we're after. It's not necessarily having to do it a certain way. All right, so I'm going to go to the control drawer and bring an if block over here and drop it in after the background command. And here's the thing that we're going to read mouse clicks, okay? Well, in the world drawer, there's a block of code that's going to help you do that. It's mouse went down. All right, again, it's not mouse down. That's more like if you're holding the button down, you can make something happen. I just want to check to see, did the mouse go down? That's what I'm counting here. So I'm going to say, if mouse went down, I'll drop that in. And left button is fine with me. It's set on left button, which is, I guess if you really wanted to, you could probably try right button if you wanted to, but I don't. I just want to check the left button. And now you have to think about, okay, what do I want to have happen if that is true? If the mouse went down, what's going to happen? Well, I want to count. I want to count the number of times it got pressed or clicked. All right, so what we're going to do for that is just increase the value of our variable. Remember, up at line number 3 on my program, I have a variable that is called count, and it's set to 0. So I'm just going to bring over this x equals block and drop it right in here. And this is going to be a counter pattern kind of thing. I'll say count equals, and I'll just say count plus 1. All right, so if the mouse gets clicked, then the value of the variable count just got increased by 1. So that's just going to bump it up. All right, so that takes care of that part. That's checking to see if the mouse got clicked, and if it did, increase the number on mouse clicks. Okay, now let's go to the control drawer. I'll get it out in a minute. And bring over another if and put it right after that one. We're still inside the draw loop, and we're putting this one after that one. All right, not inside it, put it after. And again, if you think of other ways to do this, then knock yourself out. Now what I want to do is this, though. I want to make an event occur once the number of mouse clicks gets to a certain point. So really, I'm just going to type this in here. This is going to be a greater than thing. I'm going to get into that little hole right there. And I'm just going to say, if it'll let me get into that. There we go. I'm just going to say if count is greater than, and this is where you set your number. What do you want it to be? What's going to be the trigger? Do you want 10 mouse clicks and then boom, off we go? Do you want 20? Do you want 50? Don't make me click the mouse 100 times, please. All right. So I'm just going to do 15 for this demo. I don't want to have to make it take, like forever. So now you think, okay, I've got the condition set. If the count gets bigger than 15, what happens? Well, in my example, I'm just going to make the rocket lift off. All right. Well, that sounds to me like a sprite.y kind of thing. I'll bring over a sprite.y, and I'm going to call it rocket.y. And I think I'll just hop over into that hole and just type it. I'll just type rocket.y plus, and then this would be how quickly does it take off, right? If I add a big number, it's going to really lift off quick. And if I add a smaller number, it would be a slower lift off. And later on, we'll get into things like acceleration, where you could make it look a little more realistic. But for right now, I'll just say like 10. That's fine. All right. My draw sprites is in there. So I've set up a variable, set it to begin with, it was equal to 0. I've got a double conditional kind of thing happening there. I'm checking to see if the mouse went down, and if it did, let's increase the count. And then I want to see if the count gets bigger in a certain number, and if it does, let's make the rocket take off. All right, rerun it. And you can't tell that I'm clicking the mouse, but I am. And uh-oh, but you know what I did? You probably saw it before I did. That should have been a minus. I added 10, so my rocket went down instead of up, but I can fix that real easy. I'll just say plus negative 10. That'll fix that problem. Let's reset and run that again. Click, click, click. And here we go. Yay, got it right this time. That actually wasn't, that was like the early days of United States rocket testing turned out exactly like you saw it a moment ago, pretty often. All right, here it is again. You run it and you click, 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 and when I get to 15 clicks or get greater than 15 clicks, that rocket takes off. Anything similar to this is going to do it, but it's got to involve mouse clicks today. That's kind of the required part of it. You got to do this whole if mouse went down. I'm going to be looking for that. And other than that, get a little bit creative in here and enjoy it. All right. See you around. Fist bump.